Welcome to Stampscaping 101. We're going to have some fun here with some Stampbord. These are 3 domino-sized pieces. I don't know what the dimensions are. It's like a 1 inch by, is it 1 inch by 2? I'm not even quite sure. But anyways, these are a hardboard panel with a kind of a soft kaolin clay surface. I believe that's what it is. And we're going to do this in a kind of a triptych fashion. It's not kind of an official triptych, meaning 3 pieces that we're going to use in conjunction with one another for presentation's sake. I'm just using some Bahama Blue Memento ink on them right now. Just getting a base coat like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, so I just put the board directly to pad, and that should really do it. And then what we'll do here is with some sort of application method of your choice, I'll just take a paper towel here and go into my Danube blue, a darker blue. And what I'll do is, you can do this many different ways, but I'm going to apply this as if it is a vignette around all 3 pieces like this. And I'll show you why that is in a little bit. Okay. We've done this type of thing with preschoolers, believe it or not, and they all came out just fine. We had them make magnets out of them, and I don't think we did pins, but it's an easy and fun process working with these. I don't know, just kind of a 3-dimensional aspect of them. You know, kids are used to working with their hands and kind of building things up. Let's go to a black here. Okay, and just use the same paper towel or sponge or whatever you're using, and kind of give a nice strong vignette around the 3 like so. Okay, now what I'm doing too is I'm not putting it down like that. I kind of have this at a bit of an angle, okay, like that. Okay, now watch how I do this again. I'm going to have it at a bit of an angle like this, and see that? I'm just starting on a little corner like that. I'm not going on the inside and tapping 1 inch into it. You start off like a little 1/4 inch, and then you kind of build it in. So I'm kind of going in a little bit further like that. I'm kind of never using the front edge of that, and that's how I get that nice transition. But even if you don't get a nice transition, don't worry about it. It's not going to be the end of the world. By the time we stamp our stamp in here, it will change all of this, and it'll bring it all together anyway. Like I said, this is like a preschool, kindergarten type of technique, but with a nice finished result. I don't think it looks like a, I don't know. It's not stamping 0001 or something like that. I think it has a good, really good finished look to it overall. Okay. All right, so that's just, your dye-based inks. You can use other types of inks and it'll work too. Okay, so we have those put in there. And these, again, are 3 pieces like that. All right. Now watch this. Be it if you're working with a unmounted clear stamp or something like that, or whatever, just place your stamp down. This happens to be a wood-mounted version here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up completely. I won't be using the whole thing, but, it depends how large your stamp is. And it doesn't have to be a single stamp. I'm just using this one as an example because it's fun. Now, let's put a little bit more ink on this. My black pad is kind of dry. All right, I just have to be using Stampscapes, Lakeside Cabin, 147F, okay? And again, okay, now here's the thing. You would think that I'm going to stamp this, and I would go like this, okay? But I don't find that works as good as taking your individual stamp, tiles here, boards, whatever you want to call them, and taking these to the stamp like that. I find that it gives me a better impression. Sometimes when I stamp across these ones, even though these are the same heights, where you get these little, edges here. sometimes if I just go like this into it, it doesn't stamp perfectly on those, connecting portions, okay? So this is a cabin right here. I'm going to use that, so I'm going to take my center one like this. Again, I have to remember which way this goes. Okay, this one will go over here, and this one will go over here. Don't use this one right here like that, so have it in the correct configuration here. See that right there? All right, so I would place it like that. I would put that one out there so you know which way to apply. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go with this one right in that cabin area. Okay, I'll have this as my centerpiece. I'm going to have a little bit of sky too, so I'm going to move this a little bit higher. Okay. We'll go like this, and just use this as if you're stamping a stamp onto something, okay? But you're stamping the surface onto it instead, okay? And give it good pressure all the way around, okay? Top, bottom, whatever. Now I'm going like this. I'm going to take, make sure that this perimeter is on the outside, so now it's over here. And I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to go down like that, and match that up. Like so. Okay. And then we'll go like this one. Just give a quick check. And we'll move this one over here like so. Okay. Give good pressure. See, I didn't need to ink up all that, but, it's not losing a lot of ink just to over-ink something. But that's better than kind of not inking it up enough, and then we stamp it down and we're missing part of the image. If you have a 10-inch, stamp, you don't need to ink up that far, but smaller ones just ink up more than you think you're going to need. Okay, and then you just pull these off like this. Okay, and let's see which way that goes. It's like that, and then we have our little cabin right here. Do you see how this is going to display? It's going to display like that. It's not really a triptych. A triptych would be like three kind of separate entities that are kind of utilized together. Okay, let's heat set this one a little bit. You don't really have to heat set this. It's dye-based inks, so they're going to soak in and whatnot. But I like to do that anyway. Okay. Just because the dye-based inks are penetrating this clay surface. It's a soft clay, so it's soaking in. So the clay is a little bit wet, from the moisture from all that ink on here. I can't focus in. So when I'm doing the subtractive scratching process into these, it's just you get a cleaner scratch if these are dry. It's just a harder surface. All right, not completely dry, but dry where I want it to be dry. It's a little bit moist here in those trees. I don't know if you can tell where it's a little bit more moist. It's a little bit darker. I think my camera doesn't focus as fast as it used to. But see those little drops in there. But I don't need that to be completely dry. Okay, so this is Stampbord, which is similar to Scratchboard. Scratchboard tends to be made on, I don't know what it's made on, like a Bristol board or something like this. Stampboard's made on a hardboard panel, okay? They also call this Claybord smooth in the art industry, okay? And it's used by fine artists, it has to be museum quality and archival. Very little crafting material is that type of quality, where we're talking museum quality pieces, but you get that in Stampbord. I'm not a spokesman for them, by the way, or anything like that. I just love the material, and I worked with them years ago to kind of develop this material. It was kind of a little bit before its time, though. A lot of people weren't using surfaces other than paper. People started stamping on things like dominoes, and I thought maybe it's time to kind of look into that, that Claybord material. Um, so we just renamed it Stampbord because, people thought Claybord was something to do with ceramics or something like that, like stamping on tiles. So I talked to Ampersand. We talked about, calling it Stampbord. Maybe it should have been called, craft, art board. I don't know, whatever. So I think they're re-releasing it and calling it that instead now. But see that right there? Look at that lighting in there. Like I said, you can scratch back into this like scratch board. Okay, so I put a little bit of light in that cabin window by just scratching away. I don't want to scratch down to the, past the clay into this board right here because it wouldn't be white. So you just scratch away a little bit at a time. Here's these windows on the side. This is a really fine area, but I can do a couple little nicks in there and remove some of that blue without removing all of the black. See that right there? Look at how we've illuminated that lighting in there. Okay, now say if this light is coming out of this cabin, why don't we illuminate some of these rocks a little bit like this? See this right here? I can remove a little bit, and I can reveal a little bit of white. Or if you scratch deeper past that blue, then you can get to the white if you want to. So it's really however much you want to do. But I'd recommend you kind of scrape away, scratch away, a little bit at a time, and then you can get kind of the result you're going after. Look at those rocks that are now illuminated. Here's some rocks over here too. If you want a little bit of light shining on those, then why not? I'm not trying to remove all of the ink from top to bottom of the rock. I'm just kind of removing it off the top because they're being kind of top lit. All right? See that right there? All right, now we have, can you see these reflections down in the water? See, I've drawn it into the design itself. So you don't have to kind of just come up with this stuff completely on your own. You can just look and see, okay, there's some shadows here, there's some highlights here, and you just go in and you reiterate it with your own scratching, like that. I'm not making my reflections stark white. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but I'm just doing a little bit kind of at a time like that. But look at that. Doesn't that kind of add to it? Just in terms of the overall look, it gives it a really great texture. Now look at this right here. Let's say some lighting is coming from above onto this house, right? The cabin's sides are darker, right? Because I've designed the stamp that way. I've created shadows, but the light rooftop, let's bring a little bit of kind of light into this rooftop. By the way, this is called a scratch knife that I'm using. It's just a nib put into like a calligraphy pen holder. Instead of calligraphy nib, you're using a blade called a scratch knife. And there's different types of scratch knives, but there's our lighting on top of our roof. All right, now this one looks like a little scoop. It's like a little spoon, right, that's been filed flat. You can see the edge on there, and I'm using it on its side like that. But let's take a look at this piece right here. See, if I put this like this, and I do a little spin, watch what this can do. Like this. If you press a little bit harder, you get a little bit of a deeper, kind of wider little dot. But look at these. These look like little stars, don't they? Kind of group my stars, cluster them a little bit. All right. How does that look? Or can you see it? Here we go. See those like that? And let's put a little bit of a deeper one here or there. Okay, now watch what I do here. This is really fun. This is something that, I mean, it's not hard, but kind of have to use a little bit of technique with this. Now, do you see the difference between this nib and this one right here? It's a scoop, like a spoon, but this one's just like a sharp spear. I mean, it's not super sharp. It's not going to, gouge me or something like that. I wouldn't want to poke myself like, hard with it or something. But here's what I do with this one right here. Let's take one of these stars in here. And let me start another one right. Let's put it about right here. Okay. Now, see this white right here. What I'm going to do is I like to do, this is my method right here. I go from that, and I do this little light scratch upwards, okay? Or down, or whatever. Then I flip it over like this, and I'll scratch from that point, and I'll go down. It's not perfectly straight or anything. I'm a little bit diagonal, but it's okay. I'll go out like this. See how I'm kind of always staying with my downstroke. I just rotate my tile. I think that's easier that way. So I have a 4-point star right there. But now let's give it an 8-point, and I'll go kind of shorter little strokes right here. And let's take a look at that. Doesn't that kind of give us a nice little focal point? Wouldn't that be a great little Christmas scene or something of that sort? While we have our little sharp-pointed blade, let's put a few little highlights onto some of these. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer here. All right, that's about as close as I can get. Let's put a little highlights on some of these trees. Now see, I'm doing a little nick cut like this. I go into it, and I go like that. See those little highlights on the side of that tree? I don't know if you can see it too much, but I'll put a few little highlights on the side of the tree facing that star. So it's almost like the starlight is illuminating those trees. So it's like a little nick cut like that. There's a certain charm to working kind of small, on these little pieces like this. I mean, this is pretty small. I mean, this is the size of my, brush right here. What is this, like 3 inches by 2 or something like that? All right, I have my sharp blade. Well, let's go and put some of these let's go and reiterate some of these little areas in my water, maybe. It's good to get a little texture. This is almost like you can see this as like paper carving in a way. That's what they call, that's one of the words for scratchboard. They call it paper engraving. Because you are taking a tool and you're scratching into something. You're making these kind of reverse marks. All right, let's see down here. Kids really love doing the stars up here. Okay. All right. Let's look at that little focal point there. Okay, now let's see. I have some Brilliance Starlite Silver here. Just any kind of silver pigment ink. I think silver goes very well with blue. So what we'll do is hopefully I don't need to re-ink this. I didn't check. We'll grab our tiles. Okay, now see, the sides of these tiles are just that color. Oops. The color of the board. All right, that's kind of boring. So what I like to do is I like to give it a little bit of a, I don't know, flare maybe by getting that silver on the side. See like that? I might need to re-ink my silver here. Well, there's enough in there. See that right there? Alright, so just keep doing that. Yeah. Had to find my juicy part of it. I'm finding that kind of dragging it slightly gives me a faster application than just straight dabbing. Alright, so there we go with this one. See this kind of silver edge all around? Sometimes it goes in the front of this slightly, but it looks pretty good when it goes slightly. Sometimes I press into it a little bit deeper, and we get a little bit of that kind of frame. You see that little frame around it? You know, a little bit has gone into the front of it, so it gives it a little bit of a frame. See that right there? And that, you know, it kind of helps with the composition or the overall look. You know, having that little bit of silver or metallic, you know, whatever color you happen to be working with around it. You can add more things to this too. You can do little silver stars, you know, with a silver pen or something like that. But here's this piece right here. See that nice frame around the whole thing? Here we go. See that? How that silver looks? Really illuminates it, doesn't it? In fact, maybe I will add, you know, a little silver paint pen mark up there. I think that'll look pretty good. Okay. I don't know, are people starting on their Christmas cards yet? I don't think this is a little bit too early. You hear about, what is that, Christmas in July? Or what do they call that? You don't hear it like Christmas in May. Yeah, I don't think. All right, here's that third piece right there. Okay. Kind of coming around. That's all we'll need of that. Let me find, here's my silver. I can never tell with this one right here if it's that's silver or gray. This is just a paint pen. Oh, this is I shouldn't mix my videos, but I think I have some viewers of, you know, the channel that watch quite a few of the videos, so this is the one that I did yesterday. But you can see that, you know, that gold on the side, but then I put that little bit of black matting on there. But look at how this piece looks. It's just really substantial. When you get that raised, you know, hardboard board up there. Okay, so this is my silver pen. All right, see that right there? And let's have some white stars, but we'll also do some silver ones, okay? A little bit of variety, maybe some of that silver is down here reflecting in the water. You know, just a subtle touch, but it's really fun. You can use like glitters and stuff in there. That would be really great too. Anything with a little shimmer would be cool. I imagine you can foil on this too. I don't know, just various types of effects. Okay, so that is done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray seal this. So I'll go outside and spray seal it. I don't know if I'll set up my tripod out there, but let's go in video. Okay, quite a bit of wind out here, and I'm hand holding this camera. Apologize about that, but I just have some Krylon UV-Resistant clear, and we're going to give these a pretty good coat. It's really windy out here, but with these tiles, because they're heavy, I don't have to worry about them. So I gave them a pretty good slathering of that spray, and that should deepen the colors slightly. And I'll just let this dry for, it'll probably take about 2 minutes. Alright, this is post-spraying of the pieces. I don't know if you can tell kind of the sheen on them. Well, I guess you could. Don't they look like, I don't know, they look like fired tiles to me. And I just did it with that Krylon UV. If I hit this with a triple thick you know, you'd get an even glossier finish on it. I'm talking about Krylon triple thick, or if I just gave it a thicker coating. But I wanted to keep working on this, and if I hit it with a triple thick, I'd have to let these dry for a little bit longer, and I don't want to have to wait. Okay, so we'll start on with some mounting of these different squares. I'll use my mounting squares like so, and you just kind of apply them right on the back. Like so. You probably have some glues or something like that that might work too, but I find that these work really quite well. For me, I don't know, I've been using these for years. There's other types of methodology, but you know, something like that, and you just kind of peel them off, and you know, for these larger pieces, I just have, you know, in all four corners and then one in the center, or sometimes two or something like that for all the different layers. So I have like two mounting layers on that. All right, so I'll find some papers that'll go along with this, and we'll kind of finish off this card. Okay, I thought I'd show the process here. I have a piece of black, I think it's black Star Dream right here. It has a little bit of shimmer to it, this black right here, but I thought mounting it, you kind of have to kind of decide on, you know, the space that you want in between the pieces, and you know, kind of adjust accordingly. I think I'll go roughly about like that. I don't know what that is. It's like a 16th of an inch. Maybe it's an eighth of an inch. I don't know, something like that. Just kind of eyeball it. I don't measure, okay? I just figure if it looks good to my eye, that's fine. You know, I'm not going to be bothered by kind of like a little, you know, millimeter change or whatever in terms of angle or anything like that. All right, could be crooked, but if it looks okay to my eye, like I said, I'm fine with it. Okay. Oops. These are kind of repositionable until you really kind of put them down firm. Okay. All right. So there we have that. But now I have to cut off these sides right here. You know, this is my little scrap piece. These really feel substantial. I mean, maybe you can see it right here, but you know, it makes for a really great feeling piece. Okay. Now, like I said, I just kind of eyeball things here too. It's a little bit harder with kind of a three-dimensional. I want to make this kind of roughly the same same width as the surrounding area, but see, my camera's like right in front of my face, so it's kind of hard to see how much what is straight here, but we'll do what we can for the video here. Okay. Just make multiple passes. I don't know, that piece looks pretty straight there, so hopefully that piece is straight on the bottom. And right here, we'll get that side cut off. And looks roughly about right, I would say. Okay. All right, now we have this piece. See how that? I went with the black because I have the silver kind of framing around these. Otherwise, I would have a tendency of going with a white border if these were just real dark, but we have that silver on there, so that silver really contrasts against the black really nicely. And then the black brings out the black, you know, within the main composition. Okay, now we just take this and we'll go like 1, 2, 3, and 4. One, two, three, four, 5, I should say. I probably don't need that center one there, but Okay, and then we'll bring out that silver again using this silver piece of star green. These are just, I keep all my scrap pieces of paper kind of in a little plastic shoebox thing. And I'm going to give this, I'm going to center this just on this scrap, and that's because I have, I don't have like a small envelope. I wish I had a smaller pre-folded envelope. I can make my own envelope, but I'm lazy, and I'm just going to use a pre-folded one that I got from the store, probably on sale or clearance. I buy a lot of stuff on clearance at Kelly Paper. They put stuff on clearance that has been on the shelf for a year, so it's not even that they're discontinuing the item, it's just, you know, they're very proactive about taking care of their older stock, you know, because if it's sitting on the shelf, it could fade potentially. So here's this, I think it's an A7 card, they call it. All right, it's this size, but it has this, you know, fold in it, so I just fold it over like that, and that makes my life easy in terms of, you know, making these cards. But we'll go something like this. It might look pretty dramatic on black, too. Let's take a look at the black. I don't know, the blue is, I don't know, it's, the blue would look good like this, blue like that, and then put on the black too, like that. But here's the black right here. I think that's a little harsh to me, I think I like the blue, 2 tones of blue on something like that. Let's see here on this. Yeah, this one's a little bit too dark, like that. It is kind of dramatic, though. I'm thinking about something stamped around on the perimeter here. Let's do a couple things on this one here. Okay, so let's take this down. Or should we tack it down yet? Let's go with that. But let's do something on here. Let's make this envelope a little bit more interesting. I'm trying to think if I do it on this side and this side. I'm going to put some snow, type of snowfall on this. And while I get my paper here, I will make a quick executive decision on how to approach this background paper in total or in part. Okay, we have some bleed-proof white. I'm running out of room on my desk here. I've seen people's posts on Facebook and whatnot about their space, and I can totally relate in terms of the space we end up having to work with. Okay. Adding in a little bit of water to reconstitute. I need something to stir this up with right here. I'm stirring down probably about a ½ inch or so. I don't stir up the whole bottle. I'm not using the whole bottle, so I don't need to do that. Okay. Just make this go fast. Okay, this might be a little bit too thin, but you just kind of put this on the top little tip of your toothbrush and then squeeze a lot of it out on the side, like that. All right, and then you take your brush and by the way, I'm going to go on the back as well. Might as well make it interesting, huh? If it does make it interesting. Okay, from a textural form, I just think that could be a little bit more interesting visually. I don't think it's super dramatic. I mean, we could add a little bit more drama into it. You can put some silver stars in there like we did right directly onto the piece here. All right, now this dries really fast. Dr. Burns white. I don't know what it is. It's like some kind of chalky material in that mixture that just makes it super opaque, and it also makes it dry fast. So I don't know what it is. Diatomaceous earth, who knows? It's not like there's an ingredient list on art materials. Okay, and placing down like about like so. That little snowfall, I think, added to it nicely. You can even emboss some things in there, some snowflake stamps or something like that. That would be interesting too. All right, so we have that. Go like that. I tell you what, let's do it. Let's add a little bit of variation to this. We have that snowfall out there on the perimeter. I'm going to take my white paint pen. I'll make some of these a little bit larger. Well, I'm not making them larger. I'm just kind of adding new little snowballs in here. Like this. Kind of gives it that cool kind of winter flair to it. Some of you are saying, hey, you know, we just got out of winter. You know, I don't want to be looking at that. If so, watch this video later. Okay, so we have that. Let's grab a little white pigment ink and just give this a little bit of a kind of a cool little glow to some of these. I guess they could be snow. They could be stars too. Whatever you want. But we'll take this pigment ink and we'll just make some of these. Snow, you know, dots glow. What you know, whatever they are. Like I said, I encourage you to use, I don't know, like other types of materials, like some kind of, you know, that iridescent type of metallic ink in there would be kind of cool. In your water. You can do a shooting star up there in silver or something like that. Alright, get something like this. I tell you what, as I keep adding to this, I don't know, it kind of, I don't know, it sparks kind of some different, I don't know, whatever. It inspires different things sometimes when you're working with certain types of media. Like this is you know, there's a three-dimensional aspect to this, and we have the metallics on here. These are nicely kind of framed off. Let's grab a little bit of glue, okay. I should store this on its side rather than back. Okay. Just leave that squeezed in like that. I have that pin there in case that gets clogged up there. A lot of people ask me about that. Okay, and let's grab a little bit of this glue here. And let's put a little bit in here. I'll put, how about 2 on this one? And a little bit of glue over here. And how about in the center? But I won't put it center. I'll go 2. I could have put it out here too, but I think I'm going to utilize this in the center. And we just have our little gem pack here, a little cheap gem pack, crystals. Okay, and just take a dip in there like that. It's a little gem picker, they call it. It makes my life kind of easier. Yeah, those look really good in there. I think I got some glue on my gem picker. I just picked two. All right, that is it, I think, besides the interior, you know, whatever. All right, so look at those little gems on there. Isn't that kind of fun? But look at this, look at the stamp board too. All those little kind of like framed, like silver framed pieces like that. And then you have the scratched little areas in there. That star kind of becomes a little bit of a focal point. I don't know if you can see like all the, you know, the little scratches I put in here, like these reflections down here and the lighting coming out of here. You see where that little, the rooftop is lighter, you know, than the sides, okay? And that's just removing some of that ink up there. It's subtle in this case. You know, the darker you make this, the more, you know, those scratches will stand out. But if it's kind of a lighter background like that, they tend to be a little bit more subtle because there's less contrast. We have the side right here, kind of little glowing stars. I don't know. It looks kind of like a window, like you're looking out too, or something like that. So I don't know. But then there's that three-dimensional aspect of it like that. Isn't that great? And then you can spray these, and it becomes kind of like a fired glazed tile or something of that sort. And the triptych nature of it, it's kind of fun to break up a piece like that into three sections and whatnot. But I don't know, it's fun stuff. You can always do little things like this, like even like this little piece right here. Use a crocodile, and you know, I'm saying for the single one. Punch a hole in it right up there, and you know, tie a little ribbon, and this can make like a little nice little ornament. You can do a card that includes an ornament where, you know, people usually don't get handmade cards and, you know, kind of take them apart, but you can kind of have a little ornament that they can, you know, kind of remove. You know, you put a little dot on the back of it where they can just kind of remove it, and it becomes like a little Christmas ornament or something like that. So you get a card and an ornament or whatever out of it. You know, if you do that, I would do something on the back of the board, you know, maybe use all that silver ink or something like that, because these aren't double-sided, but put all silver on the back of it or something like that, and put the date, something like that. Or, you know, for ornament, you can put more little crystals or something like that, or you can take a stamp of a Christmas ornament and stamp it on the stamp board, and it really becomes that ornament itself. All right, so all kinds of different possibilities right there. Hope this has given you some ideas, or if not, hope you just enjoyed the video, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next Stampscapes 101.